Cast. My name is Rod Van Blake, author of the Ancient Illumination series and the Umbani Chronicles, and I'm joined once again by Jordan Purnell Jackson.
Hey, everybody.
He's the creator of Eve of Insurrection and Eve of Reclamation, also the graphic illustrator of the Ancient Illumination graphic novels, as well as the comic adaptation of Jericho's Bane. We are also here with Andrea Rose Washington.
Hello.
She is the author of Adlithia, Elendil and Almond Tree's Magic. So if you all are into sci-fi, fantasy, and cyberpunk comics, check our stuff out. Links will be in the description of this episode. Today, we're getting into Daylight on Netflix.
Shift.
Day shift. Day
Day
shift.
Shift, my
Day
bad.
shift.
Day
Daylight.
Shift. Yeah, Daylight. Daywalker. Um, We're getting into Day Shift with Jamie Foxx, Snoop Dogg, Dave Franco. There's a bunch of other people in this film. It was fun to me. It's spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't checked it out. If you have yet to see the film, it's on Netflix. Go check it out and come back and listen to our audio. It's a vampire hunter flick. Uh,
Yeah.
kind of
Love their
fun.
vampires.
You love vampires?
Love
Oh, I
vampires.
didn't know you love vampires.
Oh, I love
Nature.
vampires. Vampires, witches, werewolves. Those are the top three. The Trinity for
Okay.
me.
Okay.
That didn't mean you got.
Not you.
It's a cool it's a fun film for me. You know what you should know what you're getting into before uh, you get into this film. It is what it is. If you're expecting more out of it, you try and take it too seriously. It's a vampire flick where Jamie Foxx's character, which this has to be a joke name when they wrote the names for these characters, because Bud Jablonski sounds like Polish character on like the west, like the east side or north side of Chicago. But they're in San Fernando Valley, California. He's posing as a pool boy, having some financial issues from being kicked out of the union, apparently. So this is a vampire hunter flick with urban trappings.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what's going on, John? Uh, it's not quite. I liked it. Um, it
Hi,
wasn't
John.
quite as predictable as I thought it would be. And like
Mm.
I said, it's fun and not to be taken too seriously. What did you guys think?
I like this movie for what it was, not what I think it may have been trying to be,
Okay.
but as an enjoyable flick. Like I watched it 3 times and I watched it again today and I still laughed at the same parts. I still enjoyed it for what it was. And I like the world that they set up. It was a realistic sort of telling of vampires. Um, and so I I liked it for what it was. I liked the world that it set up.
Mhm.
Um, and I like that it left it on a way where you could have other sort of the way the world is set up. You can have other movies that don't include Jamie Foxx. Like if he didn't want to come back for another one.
Right.
True.
So
Yeah.
maybe see Snoop Dogg. Get a Snoop Dogg standalone story or something like that.
Like yeah, how did the union get set up?
That
You can do
too.
what the union's like in New York. How is that different than the Valley?
Yeah.
So it's I think the way that they set this movie up is such an open world, and they introduce all these different little hunters, and the union is such this big thing. I liked it for the world building aspect. The story plot, I just enjoyed parts of it. I will say I did not see it coming until I didn't see all the pieces coming until like I was like, oh okay, I understand why they did it this way, but it did sort of surprise me. Like, oh, okay, Dave, that happened. Okay.
I know what you're talking about. That surprised me on the first watch, but
Yeah. What about
um,
you, Jordan?
I like for me it was just a very fun movie. Like when I first
Mhm.
watched the trailer, I was like, all right, we got vampires and we got some John Wick level fight choreography and gunplay. And so walking into it, Jamie Foxx was playing himself. Really,
Pretty
just
much,
playing
yeah.
himself pretty much. So he's
Mhm.
funny. He had his adorable daughter, and Megan Good was his wife, which I wasn't expecting. Like, oh, it's Megan Good.
Yeah, I wasn't
Oh,
expecting
this
that
beautiful black woman, yes. And so we see her. And as Rod kind of brought up, there's some financial troubles because Megan Good is trying to sell the house, and so Jamie Foxx's character Jablonski has to go out and collect
either.
collect these Jablonski has to go out and get these teeth. To make what is he trying to basically make money in a week? Like he's trying to collect
Yeah,
what 10,000
Yeah.
like a
he's
whole week.
yeah, he's
So
trying to make money to pay for the kids' braces and to keep
oh, yeah, and
and
the
to pay the tuition of the
braces.
school.
That's
Yeah.
what it was. And so his kind of motivations are very simple. The story is not very simple. It's like, all right, he has to go and do this, get this
Hmm.
money. All right. And so like I really enjoy like the action for the most like through and through. Like every fight scene is just done very well. And they keep using these like contortionists to like
Yeah,
which was why I was like, this is different. And that's what was the selling factor for me, where I was like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
watch this because you have contortionists fighting. This is bizarre.
Like in like I saw behind the scenes of them making it, and the only thing the contortionists were wearing were wires to soften their landing. But if they landed with their neck down and their body turned, like
Oh,
they landed like that. That wouldn't like they just had wires sort of soften the landing. But like all the
wow.
moves that you saw them do, all the ways they turned their bodies upside down and did the whole roll, they hired people specifically to be able to do that in the fight scenes. I was
Dope.
like, okay, my neck don't move like that. I feel like I would have died.
I can't do that. No, I don't think. No, we're not
But
meant to
yeah,
do that.
any of those moves you saw, that was an actual person folding their body into it.
interesting. It kind of reminded me. I don't know if it was the movie Legion, where they find the old lady in the diner that kind of
Oh
turns.
yeah.
Oh yes, her. That's what
It
I.
goes
The,
up on the wall and it's all twisted up. Kind of
Mhm.
reminded me a little bit of that. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that. That's an interesting point. Lots to like about this movie, but like I said, I wasn't taking it too. I think if you take this thing too seriously, you're just setting yourself up to have a bad time. When you
Yeah.
see the cast of characters, you see Jamie Foxx, you see Snoop is in it with him. Big J. I thought maybe that was a play on marijuana because his name's Big John, but
Big John.
Jamie at first just calls him Big J the whole time.
Yeah.
He's Big John and Megan Good. The Nazarian brothers were funny. They were like if Jim
You have any
Bro,
more gum?
yeah,
Like,
Oh yeah, they were funny. They
yeah.
were
To me, it's
great.
like if
They were
Jim
dope.
Bros were vampire hunting. Bro, give me another one, bro. It's like those are,
The funny part is one of the I think it was Scott Atkins plays one of the Nazarian brothers. And I always mix for some reason I kind of mixed him up with like Ray. Was it Ray? Is it Ray Parker? The guy who does Dark
Darth Maul.
Maul.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought that was that person. Oh, that's not the same guy. Whoopsie. Um, but they had a really cool fight scene with Jamie Foxx and Dave Franco being useless, peeing his pants constantly, which was a
he
Yeah,
great
didn't
joke.
want
that's
to
my
be in his defense. In his defense, he specifically said from the beginning, I don't want to be in the field. He
Yeah,
stated
he's
like one thing I liked about this movie was unlike other vampire hunter movies where we see the person training to become a hunter, we get to see Jamie Foxx as being a hunter. And Dave is like, I don't want to be a hunter. I want to be behind the desk. I bought myself a chair to stay behind the desk. So
yeah.
it's like he's really unless instead of it being I want to be a hunter. I want to be out there in the field. And he just sucks. He's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here. I want to be back home, please. Where
I
it's
was
safe.
rolling when he was trying to ingratiate himself in the Nazarian brothers, and they were like, "You pitch your pants, bro." He's like, "It's kind of my thing," and they're like, "That's not a."
kind of my.
When he tried to get him, when he tried to get a dap from him, and oh boy, just he lowered his hand down like, "Here, put that away."
Yeah, no, we're not doing that. That fight scene was hilarious. I liked that even though he was like a goofy character, they did play to his smarts somewhat, even though like it was
Yes.
annoying with the whole all the different code violations, but he knew all the different vampires just by sight and he knew something was up. So I like that even though he was a comedic relief, he still had knowledge that made him valuable, because Jamie
Yeah.
Foxx sort of took Jamie's character, Bud, 'cause I'm not going by his last name, took that seriously and was like, okay, you're a smart guy. This might mean something. He didn't know what it meant, but he knew it meant
Hmm.
something.
And
What?
they had a nice balance as well
Yeah,
to each other.
Andrea, you mentioned that it wasn't what you thought they were going for something else, but didn't quite make it. What was that something else they were going for? You think they missed the mark on?
So I think they tried to put a little too much in one movie, because I feel like there could have been almost 3 plot lines in this story. Bud getting kicked out of the union, or having issues with the union and that beef. Bud trying to stop the whatever the realtor's goal was. Because I'm gonna be honest, I still don't truly understand what her goal was. Like, I know she wanted to get the whole make the valley a vampire sanctuary, but like, what was the point of the underground tunnel and like the underground pyramid and all that stuff?
Oh,
Dave
that
Franco's
backdrop.
character being a vampire and that being sort of shoehorned in near the end, and now he can like fight, well, because he's a vampire. And then there being that other girl who didn't want to be a vampire but didn't have a choice. I feel like there was a lot of different ways the plot could have gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then Megan Good's character, I feel like they underutilized her so much just to make her like this, like a mother who,
Yeah.
because like it seems like, well, I won't say just like a mother, but like a mother who couldn't see past what was actually going on. Because like, seriously, you think your husband was just like
Oh boy.
you guys never told each other about what was going on? Like, did you think the locks were weird? Like, why did you think like
My
like
boy
did
was
you
You never
have
paranoid.
asked about the locks? No, I
conversation?
just never did ask about the locks.
I just thought he was really
Um,
paranoid.
Yeah, hey, people like that exist. Yeah, he's just very paranoid.
so I don't know. It just felt like they had so many different plot lines that they could have gone, and they tried to make it all one plot. And I think they missed the mark by doing too much. Because there
Yeah.
was a lot of backstories that we could have
Mm.
sort of focused on, without having to do like a whole start. But it just seemed like at first it was going to be a typical vampire hunter. Okay, no, now it's a vampire hunter trying to save his family. Okay, now now it's like a buddy cop film. Okay, now it's I need to save my family film. So it just seemed like they were trying to do too much in one movie,
Okay.
which goes back to my other thing of as it could have been. I don't know if we're going to get another one, but like in the way they did the world building, there can be more stories within this world without having to center on one character.
Yeah, it was kind of a mishmash of a lot of different things. With the action, like Jordan was saying, was kind of John Wickish. It was also kind of John Wickish how the Union had like this underground layer that needed a fingerprint to get into, and
Mm-hmm.
they had this multiple clocks on the wall keeping track of time internationally. Like, they have different divisions now because Snoop is like, yeah, we're international, and Paris is going off tonight. And Jamie's like, yeah, business must be good in Paris or something like that. So yeah, there were a lot of different things kind of mashed in there. I think they dropped a lot of nuggets to hint to kind of sequel bait us because,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, we got the tag at the end of the very end of the movie where a character we thought was dead pops back up, and of course during the ending, the scene with the daughter, and she goes, "I'm gonna hunt vampires."
Mm-hmm.
So that leaves the door open, like
I
you
want
said,
that to
to
happen.
expand that way to have her all grown up hunting vampires and maybe Jamie. And who knows? They could probably throw Jocelyn in there too, and Megan Good's characters join
Mm-hmm.
the team instead of doing whatever she was doing. And we have like this vampire hunting family. Um, I like the music, of course, because a lot of the music was my generation. I spent a lot of
It
time
was
in
good.
California. They opened up with California Love as the scene opens up, and they had the Wu Tang when the Nazarian brothers go in with him to start. It was musically, I think everything jived. Even when Snoop's character uh, pulls up, they switch it to country, and it was
Oh
country,
yeah.
but it wasn't annoying. I still was vibing with it, even though it kind of switched
Mm-hmm.
genres on us. And then you see the cowboy boots step up out, and I was like, I knew Snoop was in it, so I kind of knew what was coming, but I was like, country song pop on, and then you hear Bud go Black Cowboy. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, I like that. I kind of like the genre bending, morphing feel of all of it. Like I was like, oh, that's a nice little added touch of just like nuance to add to bring to the story. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I did like the villain. I like that she was heartless. I like that
Mhm.
she. I mean, granted, she was killing him because he did kill her daughter, but
Yeah, I was like,
still,
she's not heartless.
but like she was very much, all right, you're gonna die, and then like we saw her getting stuff done. I
Yeah.
liked I like villains that don't have conscience because I don't need you to have one because you're a
hmm
villain.
hmm
Yeah.
I but I still felt like I could like her,
Okay.
even though it doesn't matter if she's likable or not. But it's like I still like the character. I was like, okay, you're a businesswoman. You're taking out the competition. You're making vampires who don't hang out all under your rule. Okay, your daughter's dead. I'm so sorry. Like now, when it became personal, that's when you start losing crap because you made it personal. You should never make it personal. But except for the underground pyramid, I still don't understand that scene. I just was like, why there? You could have
We're all
killed
have
her
so many
anywhere else.
questions.
I think they're
Yeah.
trying to hint at the age. She's obviously if old girl, the daughter. Remember, I guess the older the vampire is, and she was 10 years off of being an elder, the more money their fangs are worth.
hmm
So if
Mm-hmm.
the 90-year-old wasn't an elder by 10 years, and Audrey is her mother, then I'm like, well, how much is Audrey's fangs worth? And I think that underground pyramid and all the things that they excavated out was trying to hint at like she's been there so long, like nobody knows about this development that's underground, and maybe
That's true.
because they're in
And she,
California, maybe this is a Mayan or Aztec
right.
underground pyramid that they have. Um, there was mention of El Jefe was supposed to be like one of the OGs of the vampire. I wonder if he was
Yep.
still around, so maybe it was hinting at some connection to that vampire. I don't know,
And
but I think go ahead.
they also reference that like in this world that she said she brings up that humans worship vampires at some point in time. So
Yeah,
I'm one that's what like rewatching and I was wondering I was trying to take that and make connections to like maybe that's where she was like that type of maybe in Aztec or Mayan temple maybe this is where
yeah,
people sacrifice themselves to these vampires. But that was that, and that's Andrea. That's where we agree. Like I feel like that is something that's very much glossed over. Like that whole location, its purpose. It just was a backdrop for the
Mm-hmm.
finale at the end of the day. Like
yeah.
it doesn't have any real function. Doesn't influence the story or plot. So
No, and she doesn't
yeah.
explain it.
No, she doesn't. We just show up at this place.
It's just a set piece for them to interact in, but no, and they don't even really. The characters themselves don't ask about it. Like Bud and his daughter, the mom. Snoop's character, Big John, he just says, "Well, this is creepy." When they
Mm-hmm.
first go in there. Um, Heather, the vampire that obviously I think Audrey turned, so that's what she felt like. Well, she
Yep.
turned me, so I have no choice but to do her bidding. She gives them like, yo, make a left around the corner, go down the steps, and you're there. But she doesn't give any explanation beyond that. We know that Audrey is trying to make it the Valley of Haven for vampires, so she's buying up all the properties and then moving a gang of vampires in. Um, but yeah, it is kind of vague what the end game is and what her actually ties are.
And then also Heather's quick, how she's quickly able to turn against Audrey,
Yeah,
but you couldn't. It wasn't really explained when did that break because you betrayed Bud, even though you really didn't because you didn't owe him anything. But like you betrayed him, and then I didn't have a choice. Like she was my maker. I had to listen. Well, how are you able to turn against her now
yeah,
and
there's
tell Bud all this information? There were some plot holes. Like it's one of the movies where if you think too hard, you're gonna start seeing the cracks.
None of it makes sense.
yeah, and that's why I
God
think
damn
it's supposed to be fun. This is a popcorn
Mm-hmm.
flick. Don't overthink things too much. You're gonna give yourself a headache. Just enjoy it for the ride. Enjoy it for what it is. Not to be taken too seriously. If you start poking holes in this, pretty soon it's just going to be Swiss cheese. It's a wrap.
Yeah, but I
Um,
still watch it again though.
yeah, yeah, it was enjoyable. Let's take a quick break and then we'll come back and give our ratings and final thoughts on some certain things. We'll talk to you in a second. Welcome back to the second half of the Askari cast. My name is Rod Van Blake, and I'm joined once again by Andrea Rose Washington
Hello.
and Jordan Purnell Jackson.
Hey, everybody.
We are continuing our talk on Dayshift. Yeah, Audrey was interesting. She was a bit OP. Did you not think? Like, I thought it was blurring. Like, she had like flash like speed from the DC
Oh,
universe.
She was
But
old
she could
enough.
kick you, punch you in midair, and then catch you on the other end and hit you again. I'm like, how are y'all gonna fight? Like, she can literally dodge bullets.
Hey, this is what we want out of it. That's what I want to see out of my villain. I want to see that David and Goliath. Like, how is Jablonski gonna get out of this? Audrey's too fast. She's too
Yeah,
powerful.
she was just kicking all of them around and snatching people. And Klaus, her head vampire henchman who had like the OG. I respected him because he had the OG. Like if you ever watched the OG vampire movies, they always had like either a white streak on the top of the head.
mm.
He had the two double white streaks on the side of his head and the dark
Doctor
hair everywhere
Strange.
else. It was like Vincent Price or something. You know what I mean? Or Christopher Lee OG Dracula film where like it was funny for them to have him dressed that way, and Audrey was the new hip vampire as far as looks were concerned because she was a real estate agent or broker, had her smart pantsuit on, she's business savvy, and she was working that angle. Interesting when they had her sitting under a parasol in the beginning of the film when they had that one vampire trapped and they were going to pour him in concrete and just leave him there. And she
You said wake him up in 100 years or whatever.
she's like, I was like, so is he still going to be? She's obviously he's not. That's not going to kill him just
No.
by encasing him in cement. I guess they'll be able to chisel and bring him back out in 100 years so he can see what they've done with the place. I'm like, damn, she is not playing around. So
Yeah.
obviously, he must have betrayed her some type of way, uh, off screen that we don't see obviously in the film. Um, but I did like her as a villain. She was a bit OP for me because I don't. At that point, I'm like, there's no way you winning this. You're not.
He
She's
had
walking
to
around in the
literally use
daytime.
her speed and anger against her because he
Yes.
couldn't win hand to hand.
No.
And I like how sort of though they referenced that back to the beginning because I didn't notice it. Like I didn't realize he used it as often as he did until like I rewatched it like the second or third time and I saw the beginning and I was like, oh, okay, you have this. You always have this as like a backup, and like he's quick to put up the little silver thing.
Are you talking about the tripwire that cuts their heads off?
Yeah,
To make the
the
ting
garage.
sounds.
Yeah.
I love the sound design on that, so you know it
I knew he was bringing that back when he says works every time.
every time. God, Jablonski, come on.
This back. Yeah, they're dropping this so they can bring it back.
And like that was literally the only way he could have defeated her because she was just too strong any other way. And so like had to use her anger and her speed. Because if she was thinking clearly, I don't think she would have. I think she probably would have noticed if she
You're like,
wasn't
why are you
like-
standing right there in that
Yeah.
doorway like that? I'm gonna just. That would have been wild. That would have actually been wild had she like ducked under. I'd have been like, oh, she
like
drew.
sled.
She would have actually, if she had done that, she would have been elevated to Terminator status. So I'm like, oh well, I don't know how he's getting out of this one. She dodged it. Wow.
I'm surprised that she wasn't powerful enough to survive, given that Seth, Dave Franco's character, had already said that some of them can survive decapitation. As a matter of fact, Seth survived decapitation. And I knew that was a lot more for comedic relief. But he's sitting there like the head's laying on the ground, the eyes look up. He's like, what? You just cut my head off? And
I thought we were friends.
he's like, yeah.
You just can't just run up on me like that.
He's
You
rushing
run up
me.
on
What was I
Tyson.
supposed to do?
Tyson.
That was a plot twist I didn't see come if they were going to turn him.
Yeah,
And then
I did not see that coming.
around.
I thought he was going to be dead. I thought they were
Yeah.
going to have to be the alt, or he was going to be a weaker vampire. I was very shocked that he became was he the Uber one? Was that what they're called? The Uber vampires, the one that can survive decapitation or whatever.
Yeah.
It can't be because they said the elder was an Uber.
So she was an Uber.
Yeah, I remember.
Oh, well, see, now we just found a new hole.
Said that she was an Uber vampire.
So she should have survived that decapitation.
That's what I'm saying. He survived, and he was just recently made. Like that was that was kind of cruel how she did that. Like, I'm gonna take your wife and daughter and leave you with your boy because he's gonna eat you. Basically, I was like, damn.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez, Louises. Oh, shout out to those teenage vampires eating cats. It was a sad day for those cats.
I don't
Yeah.
It
like
was a
that
sad
though.
day. We know you don't like cats, but I'm just saying, rest in peace to those cats that are getting munched on.
I mean,
That bowling alley scene was pretty cool as well. Just shotgun after shotgun. Um, but how does
like,
everybody
did no
rate the
one
movie?
notice like a
Oh
whole
wait,
bunch of high school kids were missing because they weren't they all in like
the high
what
schoolers.
like they were in cheerleaders uniforms and the Letterman jackets
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
did no one notice a group of high school. I mean, because those
No,
look like the popular kids, quote unquote. You
those are the
know,
white kids.
Yeah, you
yes,
know they were missing.
They should have,
they
Hey,
should
no,
have
don't do this,
missing
Andrea. We're popping. We're pulling out. We're literally this, like Rod said, is about to become Swiss cheese. And I'm like, wait a second. Where were the missing signs? There should have been Amber Alerts out left and right. Now, if they were all the black kids, now we'd be on to some realism here.
Well, I was
Like,
just saying
oh,
the popular kids at school because they were sports and uh, cheerleading. Like you notice those aren't there at sports games.
those are
Yeah.
important people. But I'm just
Like
saying,
where are
when
they?
certain people go missing,
What
get more publicity.
That's true.
what would either of y'all have done differently if you're at the helm?
Whew. Like I didn't think about this. Okay,
Oh goodness.
Jordan, I'll let you go first.
Cool. Mine's just shorter. I think I would have stretched out. First of all, I would have made Audrey actually survive because that would have just been in line with the fact that she made Seth. His name's Seth, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Since she made like there's an inconsistency there. Like you made Seth into this kind of invincible vampire. Why wouldn't you follow that same logic if you're at this hole? So I think she should have survived. Or I would have just stretched out that scene a little longer to push the fact that she's very OP. Just to give it more dramatic conflict and just a more of a climax to push that. Just because I feel like we were kind of given these very beautiful like scene. Like I felt like all the fight choreography that we see previous to this like last final shot is very like everything's very well done and like coordinated and planned out. And I felt like this was just very like one note in a way.
Yeah.
So I would have improved the ending a little bit, give it a little more, ramped it up a bit.
Okay, so I would have made Megan Good's character know about vampires, made her part of the union, but like both her and Jamie's characters would have retired when she got pregnant because she didn't want to do it anymore to put their daughter into danger. And so then he's lying to his wife saying that he's no longer hunting vampires, that he got a straight job, but he didn't. And that's why he's not working with the union anymore. And so that way it's like she understands what's going on a little bit. She's like, let's move. And he's like, oh, we can't. So he's trying to do something underhanded where she doesn't find out that he's like behind the scenes killing vampires. I feel like that would have been more of a believable relationship type thing, but then because Megan Good, she could have handled it. Her character could have handled vampires. I
Got
didn't
a
like the
question.
whole vampires are real type thing question at the very end. And she's like, what are you talking about? Honey, why would he say vampires? And all of them have your arm. Like these people are literally holding you down, trying to kill you. You see a dead body in front of you. Don't question the vampires. If they're not laughing at him, don't question it.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. Kind of when she's like, like that's your story. That's what we're doing now,
Yeah.
vampires. And then 2, 3 people around them start showing their fangs and hissing at
It's
her.
like you don't see this. You
Like
don't
you
you
don't
don't
see
see
what's
this.
happening right now.
That was
So I
ridiculous.
felt
So
like, go ahead.
I like this. I know. I really like this concept, Andre.
And so
This
then
is
like,
so are they still? But are they still together? They're not divorced or separated. But would you keep them
it could have
together,
been they
or
still
would they
separate
be
for a
on
minute,
that verge of
or
separation?
either on the verge of separation or like just separated because she can tell that he's still up to something, but like he's still denying that he's hunting vampires or whatever.
I like this.
I would have made Dave's character still the comedic relief, but not that much of a wimp to where like he doesn't even know how to shoot
You know
a
what
gun.
I'm
Like
saying?
you don't have to like
Wait,
guns to know
no,
how to.
leave the pee on himself jokes are great.
Yeah,
Come
I'm
on.
talking about like the fact that he can't even shoot a gun. Okay, you don't have to like guns to know how to shoot them. You work with a group that kills vampires. There should be some type of training just in case you get infiltrated to be able to defend yourself. You don't have to use a gun every day to know how to make it work. So that way, if he has to shoot, he can still be scared, but at least
boy was anti-gun.
He can't be anti-gun. I mean, he's just an administrative guy. Why would he know how to use?
Okay, so you work for an organization that kills vampires for a living.
Yes.
And makes money off of them. So you know how the pawn dealer got the vampires got into his shop and killed him and all that stuff?
Yeah, that was
Who's
crazy.
to say they would not make it to the union? What I'm saying is it's not believable for me that people who work for that industry would not be able to have like the minimum self-defense course.
Yeah.
Of knowing
that
how
should be orientation to even getting the job.
Because just like you have no contingency if a vampire sneaks in, or like someone is not yet a vampire and then they throw their dead body in, you don't realize they were turned and they wake up in there. Like it feels like that was a loophole, that was a plot hole that they could fix. So like you can still hate guns and know how to use them. Like I don't like guns, but I know how to shoot one. So like
I think they wrote that purposely to have him be kind of the contrarian of the movie, and so that he would be against guns, and they would also have him be, because I was dying laughing when he said, "I'm a pescatarian," when they're trying to give him the blood in the bag.
And then I would have made. I agree with Jordan. I think Audrey shouldn't have died. Like they thought she died, but like really, like at the end, it cuts back to her and like she's putting her head back on, and it's like, okay, we gotta figure this out.
That would be your sort ending. Of end credit scene.
Yeah, it's her putting the head back on.
Damn! Imagine if he took off the fangs too.
Yes.
Oh. We've just written a better story, Andrea.
We did. Yeah. So I mean, with those few changes, I would not have changed anything about the brothers. I loved them. I loved every second of them. Their whole fight scene. How many do you have? I have 5. I have 6. We get you one more. Like we got you. I loved everything about the brothers. I would keep them the same. But I think with those few changes, it becomes a little bit more of when they. Like she doesn't know who the bad vampire is, so she still thinks it's a realtor because she's like, I need to get out of the valley. It's too dangerous with all these vampires here. That would be more of a believable thing. And he's trying to kill all the vampires, so that makes it safer for his family. I don't know. I just felt like those little tweaks could have made it more of a believable story.
Yeah. I think I don't let everybody that dies dead. Instead of just, because now it's like, it's getting into comic book territory where like nobody's truly dead.
Yeah, basically. Really, that's where it was going.
You think Snoop's gone at the end when he's like West Side for life, and he's got some type of like ultraviolet explosion, and he got bit. So I don't know.
Do you think he's human or vampire?
I think if he was a vamp, wouldn't the ultraviolet light hurt him too?
But if he wasn't turned yet.
You're talking about post-bite.
Yeah. So like he blew it up before he say
yeah, he didn't. It's not like he was probably affected by that.
Yeah.
I mean, because like he came out with like I don't know. I just felt like if he had blown everything up before he turned.
Yeah.
And then like after all of them were dead, he turned.
The way it happened, I don't think he's human now. I think that was part of the setup. For him to be a vampire, and then if they do get a next one, he'd be a vampire.
I need that to happen.
Maybe they'll save him for like a reveal late in the next film that he's back, and who's the head of this coven? It ends up being Big J.
Big John.
But for what it was, I really did enjoy this movie. I truly enjoyed this movie, and I can watch it. There are a few scenes I fast forward more, not because they bored me, but because I just want to get to the part that I like the most. But like I have watched it all the way through again without fast forwarding, and I wasn't upset by it. Like it was like, oh, there wasn't a scene in this movie where I was like, I don't care, keep going, go, 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 go. I did like the driving scene with the daughter. She's like, I already won the race, but you need help.
Like a knockoff Mario Kart on her iPad.
Like that was really cute. Turning, oh, Are you on your iPad? I already won my race, Daddy, but you need help with yours. Behind you or on your right.
She was great. She was adorable.
Which
I'm
is
like,
why I
oh,
was like, Megan Good should also have been a retired vampire hunter, and that way it's like sort of like in her in the daughter's
that's a good
blood.
one. Mm.
And she's like, I don't want to do this anymore because I don't want to bring anything home to that could possibly
I
endanger
want to
our
put the family at risk.
Yeah. I feel
Right.
like that's a believable reason for her not to be vampire hunting anymore. Like it was almost one call too close after the baby was born, and they both almost died, and they were like, we can't do this anymore. We can't leave our daughter out here without a parent. We need to retire. And he's like, okay, but he's like, money's too hard to make, so he was still killing vampires on the side, and now he needs to kill a whole bunch, so that way he can make it safe for his family to stay in the area. I think that's like a believable storyline. If anyone writes that book, I want the credit for that plot line.
You gotta hurry up and write the short story. You just gotta write it. Gotta write it. So wait, so what's everyone's rating?
I give it an 8.
All right.
Yeah, I give it 8.5.
This is weird. We're all in the 8 territories. I said 8 offline, but I'm actually gonna follow behind Andrea and do 8.5 because
I can't believe we're all agreeing.
I was rolling when Seth was like, "What's your problem with the Twilight Saga?"
Bella had her baby.
Yeah, Bella had a baby. What?
Oh,
yeah,
they had fun.
got me into all that.
You could tell they had a lot of fun doing this movie, and I liked that they didn't come across as boring. They didn't come across as played out. And to your point about how this seemed very John Wick, the same director did both.
Okay.
J.J. Perry, who did John Wick.
I should have been better, and I should have known that. I should have known that.
I just
hey, Tupper.
And Noodle Boy Panda, no, this is an Elden Ring stream. I just probably need to change the title on my Twitch. But we talk sci-fi, fantasy, and other things currently.
Likewise, nice to hear from you, Tupper. See you in the chats.
Shouts out to everybody in the chat. Yeah, this was a fun one. Hour and 53 minutes, I think it was. Not too long. Didn't drag it out too long.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if we do get a follow-up for this one.
I want one.
I do hope we do.
I think we deserve one. We
do.
It's fun. It was a fun project. Give us more.
And that not everything needs to be completely serious. And this was such a fun movie. I really do want something else like this. I do want something else, even if it's not the exact same cast and they just put it in the same universe, because what's popping off in Paris? Like, let's see what's happening in Paris. They could call it. I don't say the N-word.
Vampires in Paris. We're thinking the same thing. Vampires in Paris. Let's go.
So, they could call it something similar to that.
Hey, Andrea, you're giving out really good ideas for vampire movies. Can you not do this live? You're making this public domain, like Vampires in Paris. Like, come on.
So, wow. I mean, I told you, I like vampires. Anything that has to do with the vampires is a good chance I've seen it once. At least once. I mean, I like all of them. Some give me nightmares, but at least once.
Nightmares, huh?
Okay. I still get them. It sucks. And I'm a lucid dreamer. So, I know I'm dreaming and I can't wake up. It's just awful.
That's wild.
Yes.
Yeah, y'all. Thank you again for taking the time out to talk these things over. This was a fun one. Hopefully we do get some more movies like this we can get a chance to check out. I think we're checking out End of the Road next.
Yeah.
This is going to be fun.
Which isn't necessarily sci-fi or fantasy, but it's just something it's subject matter. You got to get this content out. Tupper Hunter, Noodle Boy, Panda, John Kang, thank you for hopping in the chat, even if it was for a brief moment. Everybody that caught us on this live, we thank you and appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to us babble about these things. Don't forget to check us out on Anchor. The podcast, the Askari Cast, will be released on Anchor, Google Play, iTunes, Spotify, and all that. And as well, check out Andrea Rose Washington and Monica Pinkett on Trekkie and Beyond.
A Star Trek podcast. Explore strange new worlds with us.
Yes, indeed. Check them out. Appreciate it once again, and we'll see you all next week.
Peace.
Bye.